Kevin is right about
everything.
No.
Damn it.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to Life with a Sherry on Top. I am your host, Sherry Hagan, and today I am joined again by my husband, Kevin. Hey, baby.
Hey, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready. I don't know what this is about yet, so I'm just waiting.
Wow. I'm good.
I didn't mean it to sound that bad.
Going to say you're having a rough day.
Well, just getting off of work, so.
All right. I am going to talk today about something that a listener had sent in to us and said she wanted to hear the topic. And by us, I mean me, so I apologize. But I'm assuming she wanted both of us to talk about it because the subject is how we settle arguments in our relationship.
Okay.
Or how we fight.
Excellent.
You know? Yeah.
Ding, ding. Bring it on.
Knock down, drag out. No, kidding. We actually don't. The funny thing is when I read that, or maybe it was like something about how we handle disagreements. I think that was the topic that this person wanted to hear. So obviously we have disagreements.
No, we
don't. But seldom do we fight, I have to say.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, in almost 12 years now that we've been together, I can think of a handful of times where we haven't discussed something calmly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I can't.
Yeah, I definitely. I can only think of like two or three. So I'm sure there's two other ones that I may not know about.
No
I'm just kidding. Very, very much so.
So the short answer to the question of how we handle disagreements is we sit down and we talk about them. And Kevin and I have discussed this before on podcasts that we think communication is the key to any happy marriage. Mm-hmm. And we will sit down and talk about everything. Like whether we know it's going to upset the person or not, we will always talk about it. I think part of the difference, part of the thing that we do, I guess that a lot of maybe other couples don't do is like, if there's something that has upset me, I will always bring it up, but I may not bring it up right at that moment. And I think a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. So like, but if you're working and you've said something cross to me or whatever, which by the way, this almost never happens. So I'm kind of like reaching for examples, but I wouldn't say something to him at that moment because he's working. So I would just wait until the end of the workday. And while we're sitting down eating dinner or whatever, I would bring it up and say, hey, why did you say this? Or did you mean to say this or whatever? The timing is everything, right?
Yeah.
I think the other thing that we do a lot of is consider each other's feelings. Mm-hmm. Like when I argue with you, I'm not, or I guess discussing, sorry. When I'm discussing something with you, I'm not necessarily trying to get you to change your mind or your opinion. I'm just getting it off my chest.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think you're very unique in your own way that you, one, bring it up right away, or, like you said, at the right time where it's not necessarily a heated reaction, but it's a thought out reaction at a specific time. And then you also, once you discuss it and we discuss it, you're kind of done with it.
Yeah.
And you don't, neither of us hang on to things any longer because it just doesn't make sense. So, talk about it, talk about your side, my side, figure out something in the middle or what is good for everybody and move on, be done with it. That's, Easier said than done sometimes, but depending on the situations. But I think we do that very well.
I do too, because obviously you have to learn to compromise in a marriage. You just do. You're not always going to win the battle. And sometimes you don't even deal with the battle. If it's, I don't know, I can't even think of something, pick up your socks off the floor. I
don't even wear socks.
No, I know, but I'm it's a bad example for us, but I'm just saying, like, if that really bugged me, I would say, honey, could you just pick up your socks? And then he'd be like, yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm. Actually, I do have an example of that. And that is, this is so stupid, but I used to always want to get in the shower before he did. And he would say, why do you always want to shower before I do? And my answer was, because I hate getting out of the shower and stepping on a wet rug. I don't know why. It just bugs me. So he was like, okay, so if I shower first and I dry my feet off before I get on the rug, are you good with that? And I was like, oh yeah, totally fine.
Because your feet aren't wet coming out of the shower.
No, well, but it doesn't bug you.
Yeah, but
does it?
No,
okay.
I don't care. I mean,
yeah, it's just one of those stupid things that bugs me.
Yeah, but I get it. What's the big deal for me? I mean, it's all good. So it's
right. See,
now that you said something, I recognized it and knew what. It's a pretty easy answer, but if you didn't say anything, that would fester in you for
right. It would drive me crazy, and then one day I would explode. Yeah. And that's just, it's not what our relationship is about. It just never has been and never will be. Mm-hmm. If there's a problem, bring it up. It doesn't necessarily have to be at that particular point. And you are also very good at that, Kevin, with, if I've had one too many wines or whatever, and I've annoyed you with something that I've said or done, mm-hmm. you don't bring it up then. You wait until the next morning or whatever. And you're like, you said this last night or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way or whatever. And Kevin is right about
everything.
No.
Damn it.
You are right about the fact that we don't keep score. Mm-hmm. And once we've talked about something, we do let it go. You have to. Because if you start keeping score, and I can use my first marriage as an example of this, I kept score all the time, mm-hmm. And then it just makes you angry, and it just makes you angrier through the days. And it's ridiculous. Just talk about it, get it over with, and move on with your life. That's how we both are. But I mean, that took some learning mm-hmm. For me, it took my first marriage to, I'm like, okay, I have to start communicating better. I don't want things to fester and then kind of boil over when it could have been addressed a week, a month, a year ago, and it would have been a blip on the radar. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. And I think when we first started dating, you had even mentioned that that's how you want to try and handle things, as we got to further in our dating life, which was great. And
it's easy. Yeah. I mean, it really is easy. I think if you can't communicate as a couple, there's a larger issue at hand, and mm-hmm. I don't mean every couple has to lay everything out on the table. That's not what I mean. That's just how we do it. And it's how it works for us. We also listen to each other's points of view, even when they differ. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to use politics as this example. I feel very strongly one way. You're kind of indifferent to a lot of things. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Like, that's how you are. And I'm not going to try to change your mind about things.
Right.
And we hardly ever do, by the way, but when we do discuss politics, I think everybody is very impassioned when they're talking about something they truly believe in. Right. Mm-hmm. And so politics in particular in this country have become a heated discussion from one side to the other. It just doesn't matter, right? Even if we're discussing it, I do get heated, but not at you. Like, I'm heated because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. But that still doesn't mean I'm trying to change your mind about whatever it is that we disagree on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to respect each other's opinions and move on. You're not always going to agree on everything all of the time. That's my opinion.
No, I agree. See how easy that was? No, it's, politically or whatever, and all the situations are difficult sometimes to talk about, but I think one of the things that, and I've tend to let things kind of, my work has me trained to kind of let things roll off a little bit and handle things in a little different manner. So I'm probably a little bit calmer than you might be in situations and all together.
For sure.
But it still has
not might be.
Still, but you can't. I think the biggest thing, I'm going back to what you said earlier, and sorry to re-emphasize this, but the biggest thing is taking that time yourself to calm down. Because if you come to it, with an attitude, that gives me an attitude right away. So it already is starting to feel like something's wrong, or feel like a fight, or I did something that didn't, make you happy, whatever. But if you take that day or a couple of hours until you calm down, or I calm down, and then bring that issue up again, I think that's a big part of it. And that helps just kind of defer it a little bit. And sometimes even go, it really wasn't that big of a deal, I guess, in the end of everything. So it does have that time does help you kind of calm down.
For sure it does. Well, for me it does. And for you it does. I mean, some people will think about it and just get angrier and angrier and angrier as time goes on. I just kind of table it and go, okay, I'll deal with this when it's the right time to deal with this. And and that being said, I don't mean it. I wait a week. I'm just looking for a better time to talk about something than interrupting him while he's working or whatever, or me being out with my friends and me saying something that annoys you, and then you don't bring it up there, you bring it up later. So it works. I was looking online knowing that we were going to discuss this topic, and he never knows what we're going to talk about. So I was looking online for kind of just some tips on what people say to do with disagreements in marriage. And I can't think of an example. I'm hoping you can. One of the recommendations was look for creative ways to compromise. And we do compromise all the time. We both do. But I can't think of a creative way that we've done that. Can you?
No, not really. I mean, no. I'm trying to think of anything that comes to mind, but no, I can't think of anything that we're creative about. I guess we do compromise and just kind of talk through it.
Yeah, I can't even think of a creative way to settle a disagreement. We just talk about it, figure it out, and move on. That's just, thankfully, that's who we both are.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if one person is like that and the other person isn't, it becomes a problem because you can't talk to somebody who doesn't want to talk about things.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And that would, I'm sure, be incredibly frustrating for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
The side that doesn't want to talk about things is like, oh my God, shut up already. And the side that does want to talk about things is like, well, why can't we talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, we're really good communicators. I'm trying to think of another example of like, I can't even think of a recent disagreement.
I don't know if it's so much as a disagreement, but I go to sometimes when we make dinner for Christmas, and there's always a bit of it's a very difficult dinner, and we each have our own thoughts of how it should be done, and I don't know really what our compromise is, but now we just know that I do what I do, you do what you do,
Yeah.
and I look the other way. That I don't agree with it, but
That's actually
it's just,
funny.
yeah, I just kind of find that always is a little bit. There's a little bit more tension in the room than there needs to be creating
While we're
or
cooking
making
it.
dinner. Yeah.
So, yeah, for those who don't know, and obviously nobody does unless you're a member of this family, we make a beef Wellington every Christmas. And it's labor intensive, and it's a labor of love for us because we love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We love to do it. But
Certain
he's
time
right.
constraints
Yes,
there too.
There's
You got to do
it's
things.
all about timing.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, you need to roll out the dough right now. And he's like, no, I don't. It's still too cold. And I'm like, well, if it gets too warm, then it's going to stick to the counter. And he's like, I know. And we do this every year, every year. And I don't think it doesn't bother me.
No.
I don't think it bothers you.
No. I mean, I think initially there was some tension the first few times. It's just like, serious. I've got it. I know what I'm doing type of thing. But now it's just kind of more, I think it's more comical than anything to me.
Yeah, me too.
And that's just, the many years we've been doing it. But that's the only thing I can kind of think of that always gets to us a little bit. And we could start getting a little louder or a little bit more bolder about what we're doing.
Just a little snippy. We just get a little snippy with each other. Like, I know, because you're in charge of the beef and the dough. Basically, all I'm in charge of is what they call the deluxe.
That's not true.
It's like the mushroom mixture that you put into the dough between the meat and the pastry.
Mm-hmm.
Although we do cheat on the pastry, by the way. We just buy the pastry puff for those who think we are.
It's out.
Well, those who think we are, magical chefs, we are not. We're good chefs, but we just don't want to take the time to actually make the dough. So, but it is a timing thing, and it's actually funny that you brought that up because it's coming up. It's coming up sooner rather than later, and we're gonna have that little dance that we do in the kitchen.
It's down to pretty good science at this point, so
it is.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. No, I can't think of a recent. I really can't, which is ridiculous. I can't think of one single recent disagreement that we've had. There has to be something. See, this is
That's how much you put it behind us.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Doesn't sit on the top of my mind. I'm not looking for it or, not bothering me every day.
Yeah. No, me either. I mean, that's literally how we handle things is we just talk about them as we go. And I guess my advice to people who are in a relationship where one person does want to talk about things and the other person doesn't is that's the first thing you guys have to work out is, we have to communicate and maybe talk to the person who doesn't like to communicate and find out why they don't like communicating, or maybe it's the manner in which the other person is communicating. I don't know, but I'm just going to see how many times I can say the word communicate.
That's 92,
in one sentence.
93. Yeah, you're right. I think it's obviously very important to do that. And it can be the way that you bring it up or the way that I bring it up to you again, is that's the starting point of the whole thing.
It is.
So it's, it needs to be kind of thought out a little bit and calm, but certainly not scripted or anything like that either.
No, not scripted. But I would
some
never.
People write it down and then I need to say it this way or that way, and it just you have to think about it, but you wouldn't certainly don't want it to be fake.
No,
I guess.
not at all.
It just again, it's that thinking of it a little bit and maybe coming across in a different tone or manner that.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably why people don't want to communicate is actually, I know the answer to this, at least in my head, is a lot of people don't like confrontation. They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
They're braver. When social media came out, so did all the trolls, right? And the trolls came out because they're brave, because they're behind a keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. They're not face to face with you. And you need to have a face-to-face discussion to work anything out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that helps. And I hope that encourages people to further communicate with their loved one. I mean, it just, in my opinion, it really just has to be done. You just have to figure out a way to do it. I'm sure everybody has their own level of comfort when it comes to communicating, but it's got to get done.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So thank you for listening today. If you would like to contact me about this show or any other, you can do so. And we now have a new website, by the way. So the website is lifewithasherryontop.com. You can contact me through the website a couple of different ways, and you'll see that on the website. So you can reach out that way, or you can always email me at lifewithasherryontop@gmail.com. And Sherry, again, is spelled Cheri. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And if you have any topics of conversations you want to hear, let us know. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.